If you want to turn this into a drinking game, take a shot every time I say epic. I can't even tell if I'm in focus because I'm blind as all hell. Welcome back, everybody. So, it's been a while, I know, since I've been putting out quality videos. Actually, I don't think I've ever put out a quality video. Today is the beginning of a new series. Now, I know I have a bad habit of creating new series. Alright, whatever. You guys know I've started a bunch of different series in the past and they never really make it past episode 1. So we'll see with this one, but this one I think is quite easy to do. Not a very original idea, I'll admit. I've kind of copied this idea, but I think it's a really fun one to do. So this series is going to be called Make It Epic, and it's a pretty self-explanatory name. Not the most creative person when it comes to naming things, but we're going to be taking cute or simple or not epic characters and things and making them epic. I don't know how many more times I'm going to say epic. In this first episode, we're going to be taking the Porg from Star Wars The Last Jedi, or a Porg. There are multiple Porgs. We're going to be taking a Porg, one of these dudes, from Star Wars The Last Jedi, and we're going to be making them epic, because these things are pretty simple, they're pretty cute looking, and well, I just want to see if we can make something a little bit epic or scary out of these things. So let's get right into it. Let's see if we can make something epic out of a Porg. Okay, so what we're going to do first is I'm going to do some very basic sketches of what an actual Porg looks like from the movie itself. So I'm looking here at just plain old Google images, trying to get some ideas for what these things look like. So they kind of look like a weird mix between like a seal and a seagull, I guess. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through, basically, you know, you've probably heard the term, before you can break the rules you need to learn the rules, or something like that. I don't actually know the saying, whatever. Anyway, what we're going to do is I'm going to try and get to know the Porg, come up with like a cool pose, maybe just some random ideas just for, you know, how one would look. And then what we're going to do after I've got an idea of how an actual Porg looks and behaves, I'm going to then try and make it a little bit more epic. So let's get right into it. Alright, so getting into trying to make an epic Porg, I had to go back and try and draw a regular Porg. I wanted to try and get an understanding of the basic shapes of the body, how they generally look. I wanted to understand some of the key features of them, because if I'm going to exaggerate the Porg, I need to know what they look like as a regular version so that it's sort of recognizable when we go on to the epic version. So I did some very quick, very light, loose sketches just to try and learn some of the shapes. They're harder to draw than I expected them to be, just because they've got a very specific shape to them and it's really difficult to capture that. So now we moved on to trying to come up with some different designs, and I really like the idea of incorporating a pug or bulldog kind of face. In this sketch I actually incorporated the ears, but in the end I thought the ears kind of made it a little bit too different to what a normal Porg would look like. I think having, you know, the lack of ears is sort of more recognizable. So I moved on to my second design, which this ended up being the final look for it, and I kept the, you know, no ear look, really big fangs, tried to keep that sort of bulldog looking mouth, and I'm actually really happy with how this one looked. So then we moved on to the final refined piece. I went through, did my very light sketch, same pose as the last scribble that I did, and I wanted to try and make it, you know, as refined as I could, really capture a lot of the details, and in the end I was really happy with the way it looked. Giving him the really massive fangs I thought was the best way to make it look epic and intimidating and still semi-recognizable with the shape of the head and everything. But if you even look at the little Porgs, you can see they have quite large, for their size, bottom canine teeth. So then it was just a matter of trying to make it look a little bit more rugged and imposing than a regular version of a Porg. I gave him bigger talons and a much meaner look. Now moving on to inking, I used some of my Artline fine liner pens just to establish the rough shapes, went through, drew in all the teeth, gave him some pretty sharp looking teeth, tried to make it look as intimidating as possible. I used a lot of X's to mark out where the major areas of black are going to be, so that's what you can see me doing on the inside of the mouth and on the lips. I thought what would be really important with this as well is adding a lot of texture to various parts of the body, just to make it look a little bit more rugged and a little bit less cutesy than the regular version of the Porgs. Now I went in and gave him a little bit more of a solid outline. I probably went a little bit too thick around the legs, but you know, I tried to go back and fix it later on. But here I'm blacking out the major areas, blacking out the eyes, which I really thought in the end made this pop. It made it look a lot more intimidating, a lot more scary, and I'm actually really happy with the way that turned out. Then I used a really thin fine liner pen to mark in the separations of colors, gave him a little bit more surface detail, and then we moved on to coloring the piece. And this was a real fun challenge for me because I haven't really messed around with Copic markers very much. This is my second time using them. It was pretty fun to actually get in there and mess around with a lot more subtle colors. I used a lot of grays and colorless blending markers to try and wash out the color. I didn't want these to look very bright. I wanted him to look quite dull, and I thought that added to the more creepy kind of look. Having less saturated colors I think makes him look a little bit more realistic and a little bit more creepy. The whole time I was using the markers I was basically working in layers. I just laid in a base color, then I tried to layer it on top of each other to give some definition to different parts of the body, and overall I actually am really happy with the way it turned out. Now here you can see me adding the yellow. This yellow is really saturated and I didn't want it to look so heavy, so I went through with this colorless blender. This isn't a Copic marker, this is a different brand of alcohol marker, but this I just used to sort of wash out the yellow a little bit, make it a little bit more subtle, and I'm actually quite happy with the way that looked. I had a very limited range of colors, so it was sort of difficult to get the exact color I wanted, but I'm overall pretty happy with the way it looks. I used a lot of this colorless blender to blend out and wash out some of the color just to lower the saturation, make it look a little bit more imposing. And the rest of this piece I was just adding in a lot of base colors, washing them out, blending it away, and trying to make things look as neat as possible, trying to just give him as much depth as I could. And like I said, I'm quite happy with this, adding the shading to the bottom, giving him a bit more of a textured belly, as you'll see as we wrap this up. I think the color helped really set this off. I think adding the colors made this look a lot more recognizable as a Porg. I think it made it look a little bit more realistic and intimidating, and overall, like I said, quite happy with this one. Now you will see at the end I add in a blue background. I wish I didn't do that because at this point I was really happy with it, but then once I started to add the background I think I wrecked it. But overall I am happy with the drawing of the Porg itself, that's the important part. Alright everyone, so what do you think of this series? I think this is really fun to do. You know, we could try and do this with a lot of different things. Jazza does it with Pokemon, and I'm sure there are a lot of other artists that do it out there with a lot of different things. So leave your suggestions down below of things that you would like to see me epicify. Let me know what you would like to see me make epic in the next episode of Make It Epic. There you go guys, there is the Porg. Less epic, more creepy and scary and possessed looking, but this was a lot of fun. Now, the final piece I'm not 100% happy with. Like, I don't like how I added the blue background for the sky. The rest of it I think looked pretty good. I think the blue kind of wrecked it. So anyway, it was just an experiment for me to try and mess around using Copic markers as well, so that was sort of why I wanted to do this. I am happy with the piece overall. I just think the blue background was a little bit too much, but again, let me know what you would like to see. Leave a comment down below, tell me what characters or things you would like to see me try and make epic characters out of. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're backing content off a little bit. I'm going to be trying to stick to 3 videos a week, but we're going to try and make them a little bit more substantial videos. We're going to try and make them look a little bit better, do some more interesting stuff, and then we'll see, maybe on the days that I'm not uploading proper videos, I might just throw up a time lapse of... There were no birds until I started recording. So on the days that I don't upload regular videos like this, I might throw up a time-lapse version of a drawing that I've done or something like that. We'll see, but there will definitely be videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday where we can have fun with art just like this. So thank you all for watching, and this was a really long outro, so stay tuned for the next video coming out very soon, and I will see you all then. So thank you for watching, guys. See you later.